The man in the centre. It is very warm here.
Test.
Referee testing his audio equipment. Great technology now available as we prepare for the kickoff, with Julian O'Neill was able to get himself registered with the National Rugby League this week, and he is delighted obviously to be back in playing rugby league again. Underway, and the first man to cart the ball up for St George was Colin Ward. Both sides looking for a big start this afternoon.
Yeah, just working the ball out of their own end now at the moment. St George, just a lot of dummy half running there from their backs.
Lance
just
Thompson
to set up the set.
Back to Brown now. This is Corey Pearson. Well tackled by Sean Garlick. Assistance of Parsons and Carroll. Now they work it to the right. And they cart the ball up to be tackled 5 metres on South Sydney side of halfway on tackle number 5. Brown elects to kick out of dummy half. And a kick that's certainly going to sort South Sydney out. Racing across for them was Justin Lumens. All the balls come out there. And South Sydney rightly getting a penalty. It was raked out and there were 2 men in the tackle, Steve.
Well, I suppose the interesting thing was to see if McGregor got there first and rake the football before Wayne Bartram came into the tackle. That's a let-off for South Sydney. Good chase downfield there by McGregor. You can tell the enthusiasm of a team. I reckon that's one-on-one. I reckon that's play on.
On the sideline, former South Sydney great Mario Fennick. What's doing on election day, Mario?
Yeah, thanks, sorry, mate. Thanks very much, mate. Very warm conditions down the sideline, as you can imagine. Although we've got a southerly sprung up now, which is going to help the players. It's great to be back at the SCG, the home of many a great rugby league event. These two sides, both traditional teams, and actually rugby league's built on the performances of these two clubs over the years. Should be a great game. Go the Rabbits.
Indeed, as Carroll storms onto the ball, his first hit up of the match. 5 metres on St George Illawarra's side of halfway. Trindle, the deep kick which finds the chest of Luke Patton, some 15 out from his own line. Got away from the first couple of tacklers too, Iro and Slosh. Not able to drag him to the ground.
That's a poor kick there by Tricky Trindle. He had plenty of time. He received the ball behind his pack. Plenty of time to put the kick in, but straight down the throat of Patton.
This time, Colin Ward in the headgear, tackled by Garlick. The South Sydney skipper gets through a mountain of defence, doesn't he? They bring it back towards the centre of the park. A couple of metres on the Dragons side of halfway. No score after 2.5 minutes. Kick through from Barrett, which turns Lumens around. 4 St George players streaking through. Nasty bounce for Craig Wing. Fortuitously, Lumens was there though.
Yeah, and have a look at the chase again. It's Trent Barrett leading the way. He's the man that put the kick in, and also McGregor, the right centre.
The St George kicking game has been good so far. Mario?
Fellas, just to fill you in on the sideline here, there's a nice southerly breeze supporting the St George side, and you've seen them put a couple of very good kicks in. They've got a bit of a breeze behind them, St George.
Bit scrappy, involving Matt Parsons. The Rabbitohs still in possession though. 35 out from their own line, right in centre field. That's tackle 5 from Garlick. The ball swings right to Trindle. Long cut-out pass. It looked forward for sure by at least half a metre. Referee said play on though.
Touchy's got the sun in his eyes over on the other side, but it was the last tackle. Anthony Mundine takes the ball out from dummy half. That should be a good one. A little duel there between Tricky Trindle and Mundine. If you remember Mundine scoring the try in the Charity Shield and pointing at Tricky.
From Ainscough, back to Colin Ward. 12 metres on South Sydney side of halfway. No score. The Rabbitohs and the Dragons. Lance Thompson standing in the tackle. Attempts to get the pass away. Wrapped up by Mark Carroll and Sloss. Now they swing it to the open side through Barrett, looking to weave some magic. Nice short ball to Bartram. Beautifully anticipated by Matt Parsons, who made the tackle that counted. Here's Mundine trying to get the Dragons kick-started. Long cut-out pass. It was well picked up. It comes back to Barrett now. They've got plenty of time, St George. South Sydney really letting them stand in tackles.
Yeah, they're a little bit slow off their defensive line at the moment. Last tackle for the Dragons. Brown with the football.
The high kick, which will certainly test the South Sydney winger in Lumens. Took it comfortably.
He's going to have a busy afternoon by the look of it. They look like they've pinpointed Lumens.
You're okay.
He took that ball beautifully there. And here's the charge up now by Smith. He's been one of their best forwards so far this season, James Smith.
Very high work rate, the South Sydney second row, very mobile too. Now the big fellow Parsons
He's a handful too.
Yeah, he's grown a leg this year. Showed a fair bit of potential in 1998. Has really lifted now.
And there's the first replacement. Mark Carroll taken off after only 5 minutes. Replaced by Ian Rubin.
Block, I've actually got Craig Coleman, who's only a couple of metres away. He's like a cat on a hot tin roof. I spoke to Tugger this morning. Very important for South Sydney today. They really need these 2 points to put them back on the roll again. That's going to help them. A penalty to South Sydney now, about 40 metres out from the St George line.
Yeah, well, Brian Grant, he's known for not liking laying around in the play the ball, and it was Pearson who gave away that penalty. Just over halfway line there. There's Ian Rubin with a run. And there's Pearson just laying on just that little bit too long.
So South Sydney get the penalty, 10 metres on St George's side of halfway. Live rugby league action from the Sydney Cricket Ground.
Would have thought that one was in goal kicking distance for Julian O'Neill. They take the kick for touch. Here's Rubin now charging on.
The big fellow will be tackled 19 metres out from the St George Illawarra try line. He'll play it back to Garlick. Now Parsons puts his hand up for more work. He's got Sloss trailing. Parsons couldn't handle. He appealed for a penalty. Referee Grant said play on. It comes back to Dragon skipper McGregor. 21 out from his own line.
Yeah, it looks like St George have gone into this game when they get turnovers because of the big South forward pack. They'll just spread the football as quick as they can. There's another penalty inside the 10 metres. Brown takes a quick tap.
And carves them up. The St George hooker. He comes to Craig Wing. They've got plenty of support. Well, that is giant inroads made. They've gained 60 metres through having the initiative to take a quick tap. Now it's with Mundine. Brown taking the ball. Here's a chance now for the St George side with Pearson. And the Dragons right on the attack, 5 metres out from the South Sydney try line. They elect to go the short side to Mundine. Switches the point of the attack now back to Brown. Lance Thompson standing out wide. He had Bartram in support. Now Bartram's got it. He set sight on the try line. He's bumping away from would-be tacklers.
Yeah, don't worry about set sail. And he butchered that try.
Bartram, quarter metre short. McGregor, big and strong. They're letting them stand and offload the South Sydney side. Not urgent enough with their defence, as now Blacklock goes for a gallop, and he's tackled 8 metres out. They swing it left. The big fellow, Colin Ward, on tackle number 5. Garlick again the tackler. Blacklock across the field. A little grubbing kick, which really didn't create undue pressure for South Sydney. Craig Wing has picked it up easily enough, but he's been smashed in goal.
Well, they're going around the world trying to score a try. That Wayne Bartram had 3 players on his outside. On the right-hand side, McGregor was screaming for the football. They would have scored 4 plays ago.
Yeah, their execution's probably not all that good, Block, as we see the replay there. Wing does well. Looks like he's trying to get the ball out of the in-goal area. But now South Sydney have to face another set. And as I've said before, very, very hot down here. So St George with all the football.
It's all St George at the moment, there's no doubt. In the opening 7.5 minutes, they're playing the ball much quicker than South Sydney. And the Rabbitohs' defence is ordinary.
Well, they've showed straight away. They've got a lot of big men in their forward pack, as we know, and just the way that they want to get on with the football game was shown there by Nathan Brown. Take the quick tap, just turn them straight around.
Well, when you say the defence is ordinary, I probably disagree, Tappy. I think they're coping with whatever St George throw at them. I appreciate St George have been a bit sloppy, but South Sydney's defence has been hanging on all right. They've just allowed a few offloads.
They're struggling to get back to 10 metres. They've been in front of the referee every time.
Now Mundine, wide ball again for Bartram. He rips into the South Sydney defensive line. Tackled 7 metres out. South Sydney under enormous pressure from the Dragons. Mundine, what will he do? Beautiful pass on the outside to the Dragons fullback. Luke Patton scoring wide out for them. It was all too easy.
Yeah, well, you've got to defend man on man and come up off your try line there when it's so close. That was a beautiful ball there from Mundine. And Patton just put himself in a position to get on the outside shoulder of the defender. And that's just a simple try. I don't reckon he'd be able to believe how easy this was. They go the short side here. Mundine receives the football. A little bit of indecision there. There's the outside shoulder. And Lumen's poor attempt to tackle there. Patton gets the try and celebrates.
St George leading 4-0 over the Rabbitohs. St George Illawarra with the kick to come for the Dragons. And as you take another look at the try, beautifully summed up by Anthony Mundine, who appeared to have plenty of time to choose what he wanted to do.
Well, the good players always look like they've got time, don't they?
Well, they make the time, don't they?
The great 5'8", Brett Kenny, Wally Lewis.
So Bartram to attempt this conversion about 7 metres in from the western touchline. some 19.5 metres out. Kicked a magnificent goal from the sideline last weekend to seal victory for his team over Canberra. And would love to get this right over the black dot for his own confidence. Bartram, who had some pretty severe injury problems during the off-season, couldn't train, as a result came into this season carrying a fair bit of additional kilos.
He's trimmed down a little bit.
He has. Moving in, he's hooked that away to the left of the uprights. No change to the scoreline here. The St George Dragons, St George Illawarra Dragons 4, leading South Sydney no score. And this game, 11 minutes old, Mario Finnick.
Yeah, weight of possession going St George's way. Very, very hot. South unable to cope. Nice little pass here from Mundine. Quality player. Young Patton, he's a player of the future. Does some very good things for St George at fullback. And as you can see there, he's happy. 4-0 St George.
South Sydney now must hit back as quickly as possible, as the Dragons find themselves with the ball from the kickoff 21 metres out. And Chris Leichvold now on the park for the Dragons, playing a jumper number 14. This is Lance Thompson getting up to play it. Back to Brown, fires the pass away to big Andrew Hart.
Geez, they've got some class players, haven't they? The St George Illawarra side. Paul McGregor, Mundine, Trent Barrett. Where do you look? Very good football side. Some
fresh troops being thrown into the game now on both sides. Now the short side, Barrett shaping to kick. Pop the pass to McGregor. Now gets it on the outside to Blacklock. Tackle to meter in from the western touchline. Lumen's racing up in defence. It's tackle 5, by the way. Brown, a beautifully positioned kick. There's plenty of St George chasers coming through.
Great take.
Wing took it magnificently and has been pushed back in goal.
Well, I suppose the game's only been going 10 minutes, but there's Andrew Farrer, the assistant coach for St George Illawarra. But watch how much time Brown has got to put the bomb up. That's a bad sign for South Sydney. You've got to put pressure on the kicker. He was standing there for 10 seconds, put it where he wanted to.
Well, that's the comment I was alluding to before when Mario didn't agree with me about the South Sydney defence. For mine, they don't have the urgency this afternoon.
Well,
so far.
One thing they do have, as you can see, Wing there, not much choice there. He probably needed to hit the ground a lot quicker. They force him over the line. Now South Sydney with another set they have to defend. St George have had all the football, and I'll tell you what, they're using it quite well.
Now Chris Leichvold steaming onto the ball. He's tackled 27 metres out. St George Illawarra 4, leading South Sydney no score. Thompson bumping away from tacklers. Schloss, the South Sydney lock forward, coming from behind. In fact, it was Julian O'Neill, I beg your pardon. They work the short side. Now this is Andrew Hart. Ball's on the deck. Garlick falls on it for South Sydney.
See, that's poor possession there by Andrew Hart, the St George Illawarra back row. He should have took that ball, easily turned on the inside to him. You got to be ready for those sort of things. There's the loose football there, the hands in the tackle. South Sydney clean up, and they needed it. Let's see if they got any petrol to run the football now.
Well, about 15 metres on their own side of halfway. They'd love to hit back. Here's Big Carroll. And they certainly need him out there. A couple of fresh troops preparing for battle for the Rabbitohs, one of which is Ian Rubin. The other is Parsons, flanking the western touchline. That's tackle 5. It comes back to Daryl Trindle. Elects to swing the ball wide to Craig Wing, who beat the first tackle. Little kick over the top. He's got plenty of class, Craig Wing. There's some heavy contact. Wing got it back again. And that will be the turnover, says referee Brian Grant.
How good is it to see a young bloke with a little bit of class and not scared to do it? Little chip over the top on the last tackle. Great play there from Wing. Look at the chase. Look at the speed of the young fella. That's what we were mentioning a little bit earlier. Oh, he got the football back. Last tackle.
Well, there's another mistake now for South Sydney. They get the football. So that's 2 mistakes in a row for St George. St George have dominated the first 15 minutes of possession. So now we see South Sydney with a great attacking opportunity.
Just short of 14 minutes gone in this game. And there's a mistake from Ainscough, which sees South Sydney come up with the loose end feed. 10 metres on the Dragons side of halfway. Rodwell, well tackled by Luke Patton. They work the western side of the ground through Big Parsons. Good run of about 10 metres, standing in, bumping away from tacklers.
He's their most underrated player, that bloke. He gets the football away a lot, Parsons. Just watch him today.
He can. Now Smith, spinning in the tackle. South Sydney with a bit of possession, now starting to look pretty slick with the football in their hands. Jeremy Schloss shaped a pass to Ian Rubin, decided to put his head down. So now the Dragons have to feel the pressure. It's the Rabbitohs 10 metres out from the St George line. Trindle pins his ears back. Daryl Trindle, the South Sydney number 7. Brilliant individual skills. St George opened up.
I'll tell you what.
And the Rabbits hit back.
It was made easy by Anthony Mundine. What was he doing there? Just sliding instead of going up at Trindle. He was the man that should have made a tackle on Trindle. He slid out. That's a good hit back there from South Sydney. Let's just have a look at it again. Watch Trindle with the football. Watch the number 6, Anthony Mundine, sliding out, sliding off. He thought Brown had him on the inside. Good speed chain there by Trindle.
Now the head on. Trindle showing the ball as good footballers do. It was very easy. Both tries in this match so far, you'd have to describe them as soft ones. They just hung off him and hung off him. And the little number 7, who according to Craig Coleman is good enough to play State of Origin this year, puts it on the board.
That's a big rap, isn't it? What about Johns, Kamali, Langer?
I understand what you're saying. I'm merely reporting the facts. Craig Coleman adamant his number 7 is good enough to be there. So Julian O'Neill from 11 metres in from the eastern touchline, some 19 out, will attempt to put the Rabbitohs in front on the scoreboard. That's what they needed to hit back quickly. They had absorbed all the pressure. It's been all St George in the game so far. O'Neill moves in and he's hooked it. Waved away, so the scoreline here all tied up at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Mario Finnick.
Yeah, South's able to capitalise on a couple of errors. St George very tidy in the first 15 minutes, but a couple of sloppy balls have gone astray, and there's South Sydney capitalising. Trindle shows the ball. He's always going to do it. Mundine hung off him, and that allowed the gap to open up. Brown wasn't strong enough to pull him up. Trindle, he's been doing it for years. Mundine a little bit disappointing in defence there. South 4, St George 4.
Bartram getting things underway.
Great take.
Spectacular take by Trindle. Here's Big Carroll winding it up. Met by plenty of St George defence.
And he's left one laying in his wake too.
Absolutely.
Thompson in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, Lance Thompson's not well. A concerned Daryl Trindle goes over and pats Thompson on the head. There he is, Thompson. Tried to put a hit on Big Spud Carroll and came off second best. Now the short side through James Smith. You just get the feeling Souths have lifted, don't you?
This is a great run here by Mark Carroll. Look at that determination. Oh, what a collision.
While you're talking about injuries, boys, Matt Parsons, blocker, you gave him a big rap. He's been playing quite well. He's limped off. He's got a knee injury, so let's hope it's not too serious. Good run by Rubin.
Yeah, the South Sydney players really lifting now. Lance Thompson, by the way, has come to the sideline for a break and to be checked out. Here's Trindle now, kicking towards the corner. Turns the Dragons number 5 around Ainscough, who immediately fires the ball back to Luke Patton. Exciting broken field runner. He's tackled 18 metres out. 4 all here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Ainscough, who's had a very bright start to 1999.
A little bit of spring in their step now in defence, even the south side, knowing that they just hit back a couple of minutes ago, and a couple, as Mario said, a couple of mistakes. There's Thompson. He'll just shake the cobwebs. He'll be back on.
He's tough. Brad Mackay. It's also worth noting, now on for St George, Brown gaining very easy metres. There's Brad Mackay now. Handy player to have coming off your fresh reserves bench, isn't he?
He's a very good player. Great cleaner upper, isn't he?
Tackle 5. Now the kick towards the western touchline. Should trickle into touch, does so.
Yeah, Saints just trying to slow things down a little bit. South's getting on top there the last 5 minutes. Every player will walk the scrum, as Mario has already mentioned. Very, very warm down there on the sideline. The Water men working overtime. There's the kick from Barrett, just going for touch, putting it out. A little bit of a break for both sides.
Blocker, just talking to an old teammate of mine and yours, David Boyle, who's now the trainer for St George Illawarra. He tells me young Thompson's got concussion, so nothing too serious, and he will return shortly.
Trindle to feed this scrum, 15 out from the South Sydney line.
Feed it now, feed it. No, look, fair dinkum. Just get your feet out of the road and let him put it in.
Why do they worry about scrums now? They haven't for the last 3 years.
Exactly. Now Wing standing up. Takes the pass from Trindle, tackled in the centre of the park. 21 out from his own line. for all South Sydney and St George Illawarra. Iro creating space on the eastern side to Brent Rodwell, who turns his man back on the inside, Lee Hookey. Nice work there by Iro. That's his specialty block on the short side.
That's experience too. He knew just how to draw and pass. They knew they had the numbers on the outside. Good run there from Hookey too. Didn't try to do too much.
And a good run by Mick Nicholas as well, who plays the ball now to Caruana. They work the run around. Trindle, now to big Jason Nicol, former charge up. There's big Spud Carroll on the sideline, having a well-earned break. As Ruben goes galloping onto the ball, it's play on. Jeremy Schloss calls Rodwell back on the inside, and he coughs it up. Goodness me, some scrappy play.
Be aware of the St George lock too, mate.
South Sydney looking pretty good at the moment.
Different this time with.
Yeah, they certainly are, but they can't afford to get throwing the football away like that. That was quite simple too, just a simple inside play there from Rodwell. He should have swallowed that one. I'd just like to see Julian O'Neill. I know it's his first game back. He hasn't run the football yet. He is dangerous when he does that.
Indeed. St George, following the loose head and the feet, come up with the ball. They're tackled almost. Sean Timmins some 14 metres on his own side of halfway. McGregor stepping.
I'd be a little bit worried if I was Craig Coleman about the marker defence and just in behind the ruck there. They're making plenty of yardage there.
We've seen Brown pinch valuable yardage that way. Speaking of Brown, it'll be played to him now. Barrett, now Mundine. Over the halfway line they come. Beautiful tackle there by Chris Caruana. Ainscough steps, passes away to Brad Mackay, comes to the line, then passes, dropped by Lakeville, picked up by Bartram, calls McGregor back inside. St George is almost like touch football at the moment. They throw it around with gay abandon. Ainscough finds himself back in possession again. On tackle number 5, right in the centre of the park, 35 out from South Sydney's line. Now Barrett. A kick to the left-hand side of the field. Oh, it's been coughed up there by Lee Hookey. St George come back up with it again. Well, he should have taken that. Took his eyes off at Steve Roach. The Dragons back on the attack now. 5 metres out. Timmins, he'll go very close. Timmins,
very
is he
strong,
over?
Very strong Timmins, held up. They're going to the video replay.
You've seen it?
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Okay, Westy, we're going to have a look at the forcing of the ball.
Good play there from Ward to stand in the tackle and offload. And Timmins, a very, very strong player. They know he thinks he's got the try anyway.
Geez, that's a poor drop by Hookey though. What a block. That's a regulation take. St George get the football 10 metres out from South line. Any side's hard to stop.
That's a try.
Although, is he short of the line?
No, on the line to try.
I've got to try, don't I?
At first glimpse, it looks to be a try.
That's a try. Mario, the interesting thing for me is Paul McGregor playing at right centre. I think, here it is again, just quickly while it's on camera there. That's a try. Just quickly, Mario, about Paul McGregor. He plays right centre. I think he plays his best football when he goes up and bobs up everywhere looking for the football. He doesn't seem to do that with St George Illawarra. He just stays on his own side.
Yeah, it's often the luck of the draw. Sometimes the ball tends to stay away from you. That's a try though, boys.
Well, there was never any doubt once we had the chance to look at it. The first replay, so Bartram will attempt the conversion from wide out. St George, Illawarra leading the South Sydney side by 8-4 with the kick to come. Midway through the first half. Another look at the drop ball by Hookey. Oh, goodness me.
Get him a glove.
He'll be having nightmares about that.
This is the advantage they got out wide, isn't it? Very, very strong players, Timmins. There's a quick play of the ball too. They go back the short side through Ward. Change of angle, they do it very well, St George Illawarra. The offload there from Ward. And look at the strength of this bloke. Just spins out.
He's had a good season, Timmins. Now Bartram, 9 metres in from the eastern touchline, 17 metres out. Strikes it. Looks superb and is. The flags fly. The scoreline ticks over. St George Illawarra 10, leading South Sydney 4 at the 23rd minute in this game.
Yeah, the critical thing was the Hookey drop ball. You just can't afford to do that at this level. St George with the football 10 metres out from anybody's line are going to score. And weight of numbers, as Blocker said, Timmins is built like a front rower and runs as well. So he's a very strong young player. St George now 10 with a nice lead, 10 points to 4 over South.
A ball that did a left-hand turn following the Julian O'Neill kickoff. Gee, it's been a good kick, hasn't it? Garlick racing in with Troy Slattery to make the tackle. Now Mundine darting across the field. Stepped back inside but was wrapped up in the end by Lee Hookie over on the far side of the field. Now the try scorer, Timmins, met by Hookie again. Mackay.
Just have a look at that South Sydney defensive line again, Mario. They're not coming up. I know we've mentioned a couple of times how hot it is, but they're just not coming off their line at the moment. Last tackle now for the Dragons.
From Brown, now Barrett. And the kick will be a fairly deep one. Craig Wing racing across. Lumans was there for support. Wing got away from the first tackle. You really get the feeling that Craig Wing has got something just a little bit special. That pass was forward. And the crowd appealing for it. You can hear Mario in the background.
Craig Coleman sitting next to me. He's just dropped on the floor. Call an ambulance. That's another silly mistake. Silly mistake there from South Sydney. Look, you just can't afford to make errors like that.
Mario's red and green eyes coming through this afternoon, which is entirely understandable.
Have you got me, Tony?
St George feed, 15 out, one by them. Now Mundine, there's plenty of space out there. Rodwell's got him, has he? Yes. Crashes the St George Illawarra number 6 to the ground. Now Corey Pearson.
Good play
Onto the ball.
Good play from Pearson to break from the scrum. That's only the second tackle.
They're 5 metres out. Brown's got plenty of options. There is a mistake that South Sydney needed.
No pressure on Barrett, neither there.
Well, it's funny,
right
you know.
on his chest.
It's funny, you know, rugby league's, it's a game of mistakes. You capitalise on mistakes. There's a mistake there by young Barrett. South Sydney need a really good set of 6 with a kick now.
They need it for their confidence too. Just coughing up the football the last couple of occasions they've had it. There's a good tackle
great
from
tackle.
McGregor. That's what you get for running across field.
McGregor on Rodwell. There'd be a little duel going on between those two out there today. Don't worry about that. It's 10-4 in favour of the Dragons. 22 out from their own line. Souths in possession now. Carroll straightening up the attack. Garlick away to Slosh on the right-hand side, who's been in very good form. Rabbitohs lock forward.
He works well, doesn't he? He's one of those type of players, just dives on the loose ball, takes it forward when he needs to. There's another hand in the play of the ball and wins the penalty. Gets to his feet quick. Good play there from Slosh.
Oh, that's a handy piggyback penalty block. Last tackle, St George looking to get the football back and South get a penalty. Ooh, that hurts.
Exactly what the Rabbitohs need. O'Neill takes the touch finder whilst you look at that replay. And subsequently the Rabbitohs restart 5 metres on the Dragons side of halfway. Here's Carroll trying to skittle the Dragons defenders. They were equal to the task that time. Garlick fired the pass away to James Smith playing in jumper 12. 10 metres on the Dragons side of halfway. Garlick faked a pass to Reuben, picked up Tricky Trindle instead. Here's a pass away to Lee Hookie. He's got plenty of pace. He's scorching for the corner. Pops it back on the inside to Daryl Trindle.
Yeah.
Can he get his second try? You bet your life he can. The Rabbitohs hit back. They're finding space on the flanks. We saw Iro exploited a little while ago.
Yeah, he hit it right on the head there, David. They've gone that side a couple of times out to Hookie's wing. I thought he could have scored the try himself. He slowed down to pass the ball back in the inside to Tricky Trindle. Was good support there from South. There's a switch of play. Jamie Ainscough overreads again and gets beaten on the outside. And look at the speed of this young fella, Hookie. I thought he might have taken the fullback on there, but good play there from Hookie. Tricky Trindle always on the spot, reaches out and scores.
They still had Chris Caruana there in support too, the Rabbits. There's Hookie standing his man up comprehensively. I've got to agree with you, it looks like he could have got there, but it's all superfluous now because they've come up with 4 points anyway. Trindle,
The trickster in for number 2.
who threw the beautiful long pass to Hookie, backed up to score his second try of the day. South Sydney number 7 has had a perfect start to the season.
Well, you notice how Ainscough was standing back a little bit expecting the kick. If you do that, you invite them to run down that way.
O'Neill 6 metres in from the eastern touchline. 19 metres out, strikes it. And, unlucky for O'Neill. 10 points to 8 in favour of the St George Illawarra Dragons here at the 29th minute mark. Mario Fennick.
Yeah, it was a change of direction. You'll see Garlick throw it back along. Now watch this pass by Trindle. Reads the situation well, hits Hookie. You can recall Hookie made a silly mistake, but that's what he's there for, his pace. Gets around Ainscough quite surprisingly, and this is the key play here. A bit of a lofty pass on the inside. Trindle, love him or hate him, he's always on the spot. He scores plenty of tries. None more important than that. That's a try. They're back in it.
Everyone will love him if he scores 2 every week.
Now Carroll winding it up again. Rabbitohs supporters here at the Sydney Cricket Ground trying to lift their side. And speaking of the crowd, not a bad one in this afternoon, considering what is on around Sydney today, the election, the Easter show, a big rock concert tonight.
It'll be 13,000, 14,000 here today.
If not more. The Rabbits hitting back when St George skipped away to a 10 points to 4 lead. Just a 2-point ball game now. Garlick back to the dual try scorer. Kick that's been picked up by Ainscough. Had Blacklock scooting around the other side. And there's some good defence from South Sydney, led by Brett Rodwell. Oh, there's a ball that's popped over the shoulder of Andrew Hart. He couldn't handle. Parsons, note the left knee strapped now.
Wishart on for the Illawarra St George side.
They've got some depth when they've got guys like Wishart and Mackay on their bench. It'll stand them in good stead, the St George Illawarra side, as this season unfolds. Now the referee.
It's not legitimate, but it is high. And I want to have a chat to you about your bloody haymaker thing around there too, where it missed. Yeah, just swing around the top. It didn't hit anybody. Let's keep it right out of the game. Cheers. Bit high this one.
It happened pretty much in front of me, boys, and much of a muchness.
Joke.
Yeah, I don't know if it deserved the penalty, but this next 10 minutes before half-time, we've got 10 to go. Very, very important this period of play now. St George with a pretty good attacking shot now. South Sydney need to have good defence.
Block has thrown his pen down on the desk in disgust. What's the matter, big fella?
They're kidding. I agree with Chris Johns.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that.
Should be wearing dresses.
We're not going to touch on that, are we?
Oh, that could have been a bit forward.
St George popping the ball out the back, and there's an offside play.
Nah, offside.
He's only offside if it come off one of the South players. This will be the interesting thing to see in the replay.
McNicholas, the offender.
Now there's Ward taking the ball forward. He tries to offload here.
Yeah, it hits the shoulder of Parsons, I think, doesn't it?
Sure, I don't know. I think it's off a St George player.
I think it hit Parsons on the left shoulder. Mario, it was right in front of you.
Yeah, I think the referee was correct there. I thought the ball was offside, but St George now with a great attacking opportunity. As I said before, this is an important position for South Sydney. They need to defend.
Dragons 19 out. They lead by 10 to 8. Barrett. Inside ball to Paul McGregor, who's played well. Beautiful pass to Blacklock, who will go all the way. How good was that? Magnificent rugby league try.
I'll tell you what, they're showing what they're capable of. Outstanding football. Exactly what I was saying about before. McGregor needs to be moving around in and around the play, the ball swapping sides. This time he goes away from the right side, over to the left side. Just watch McGregor here, the switch of play. Look at that. And watch this pass. A lot of ball watching there, but he hit it at speed, Blacklock, and untouched.
Was there a question mark on the pass from McGregor to Blacklock?
I don't think so. I think it was that good. You pay it anyway.
Beautiful play.
Beautiful football. Look at this. No, that's all right.
Oh, I tell you, Block.
That's all right. Look at that.
And didn't Blacklock enjoy it? He was grinning as he prepared to put the ball down. Dragons skip away to a 14 points to 8 lead. 23 career tries for the man placing the ball down. Kick to come for Bartram, right in front, 10 metres out. He'll throw it over from there. There's the extra 2 points, 16 to 8 in favour of the St George Illawarra Dragons over South Sydney. Mario, it doesn't come much neater than that.
Yeah, St George capitalised on a nice bit of quality possession. Here it is here. It's a set play. They've worked on this all week, I can guarantee you. Mundine back inside of McGregor. and that's the pass we're all questioning. I think it's slightly forward, but this bloke, hasn't he proved to be a try-scoring machine? He's an exciting young player, Blacklock.
So the Rabbits again find themselves trailing on the scoreboard with it all to do. It's been a game that's really gone from one end to the other. Mistakes have made a major contribution in terms of the other side capitalising on the errors of their opponent. Now from Mackay out to Mundine. He's got what seems to be half an hour to decide what he wants to do with the ball. 33 minutes gone in this match, or a tick over that. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you might be watching live around the country.
That pass was marginal too. St George Illawarra play a very flat game.
Now Brown, who's been busy this afternoon, tackled by Garlick, McNicholas, and Ian Rubin. Garlick charging out of the line. Barrett kicks over the top. There's a couple of St George chasers here steaming through, but it had too much juice on it, Blocker.
Yeah, that was a pretty ordinary kick there from Barrett. He had plenty of time, as you mentioned a little bit earlier. Kicking game will be disappointing for the St George Illawarra side in this first half. I'm sure David Wade will speak about that at half time. There's big Spud Carroll coming back on for the Rabbits. Paul McNicholas being replaced. Parsons off also, and Rubin back on. There's Trent Barrett, fine young player.
Referee talking to Brad Mackay. 20-metre restart from South Sydney. Referee Grant telling Garlick to come back. Plenty of chat happening out there in the middle between Grant, referee, and a couple of players there.
I wish he'd just referee the game. He was holding it up there to wait till he was ready.
Mind you, a new rule in 1999, the ball is supposed to clear the ruck before the defence moves off its line. There's been plenty of times in this match so far that has not happened. Many times they've moved prematurely. There's the ball coughing out. It'll come up for St George to play attacking rugby league with. Now McGregor bumps away from Nickel. O'Neill comes at him with some assistance from Sloss, I think it was, underneath. Trindle was there, and it was Caruana, was it? Yes, it was Slattery, actually.
I know it's difficult for referees with this stripping rule, but I don't know. There's two players in the tackle. I don't know. That was a tough decision, I thought.
Now chance for them. Wide out from Ainscough. Pass back on the inside to Blacklock, who's been involved in everything in the last 10 minutes. So St George enjoying all the territory here again. 12 metres out from the South Sydney line, from Barrett, now to Mundine. There's a short ball to Bartram, who really hit the ball at pace. Beautifully anticipated by Julian O'Neill to make the tackle. Barrett, Brown, 10 metres out, the grubbing kick. Craig Wing is there. Can he get out of his own in-goal area? He can. Nice play.
I tell you what I do like about this George Illawarra side. They had three shots at you in a set of 6, Mario. They don't leave you wondering.
Yeah, they're starting to sort of gel a bit better, aren't they, Block? The first couple of rounds of the competition, they had many opportunities but couldn't capitalise. Although they are being helped by a lot of possession. South Sydney making a number of errors, and Block, doesn't matter what team you play for, if you've got the football, you're a good chance of winning.
16-8 the scoreline here. About 4.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Here's Tony Iro now trying to kickstart the Rabbitohs machine on the short side. The big fella loves exploiting that play. Has done it so successfully throughout his career. Back across the park through Trindle. Awful pass to Julian O'Neill. Probably the first time I can recall O'Neill having the ball in his hands in this game.
He did well to pick it up, didn't he? It was a poor pass there from tricky Trindle. A little bit of indecision there from the Rabbitohs.
O'Neill, you made the comment, needs to get himself involved a lot more and take the line on when he's got the ball. He needs to get it first, doesn't he? Now Bartram, off a short pass from Brown. 5 on their own side of halfway. South Sydney come up with it. Schloss galloping into open pasture.
Well, just on O'Neill, he's obviously convinced them that he should be in the first grade side, but I don't think he's done enough in this first half.
He's pulled off some big tackles though, mate. He's made his presence felt in that regard, all right. Garlick. Now the big Reuben. Stood up. Proving a real handful, Ian Reuben, this afternoon for the St George players to tackle. Now Garlick. Got a nice scooting game. He was sandwiched by 2 St George defenders, including Lance Thompson. Now Trindle. What's he going to do this time, the tricky fellow? Ball on the deck to O'Neill. Awful pass.
Call it tackle one.
Dragons come up with it. That is scrappy stuff.
Yeah, South Sydney looking to score before half-time. Very, very poor play there. Just going back to Julian O'Neill. Look, I think there's a replay there. Trindle going across field. The pass.
As St George make another searching break here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. South Sydney are getting holes punched in their defence. It comes back to them now. Now Sloss tries to get away from Timmins, but he couldn't. Quick play the ball. Incredible sequence of errors here, and there's two South Sydney players down in back play. Barely moving. Line breaks favouring St George Illawarra. Now it comes up for Trindle. Tackled by McGregor and Bartram.
Both sides trying to score every time they get the football. Instead of just settling down a little bit and get up the other end.
No.
There's a push pass
Not
there for
again.
Reuben.
Comes out for Andrew Hart.
It's the third time in this half that he's tried to do that. We're better off locking up the football until they get down the other end.
Now Corey Pearson. There's the errors. South Sydney leading that stat too, which Craig Coleman would not be happy about. Lance Thompson winding it up for a run, met by Slattery. And Chris Caruana. McGregor has had a powerhouse match this afternoon. So dangerous whenever he's handled. And South Sydney concede a very silly penalty. O'Neill, the man involved.
Yeah, a little bit of experience coming out there from McGregor. Just overplayed that little. Look at me, ref. I'm getting tackled. I'm held on.
Yep.
I'll trip over here.
Just going back to O'Neill, he hasn't played for a period of weeks, and I don't care what position you play, you need to be playing the game. He's a very good player, but fitness in the park is one thing, but match fitness is another.
Yeah, but Muzz, you've got to be ready for first grade, mate. You've got to have that little bit of match fitness under your belt before you put blokes straight back into the sides.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you, Block. You know, the bloke's not played. He needs to get one or two under his belt to hone his skills. Ian Rubin's been a bit disappointing as well, Block. He's made a number of... He's lost the ball cold.
So, Mario, you're saying then a mistake by Coach Craig Coleman to thrust O'Neill straight back into first grade?
Oh, well, don't nail me on that, mate. Tucker's a great mate of mine, but I'm just saying he's not played, O'Neill. No doubt about his ability, but as Blocker would say to you, you need to be playing football. That's the best match fitness, is playing it and playing games, and O'Neill has not played. And judging by what I'm seeing so far, he's rusty.
It doesn't help when you've had to make a lot of tackles too. They've just turned over the football far too many times, the South Sydney Rabbitohs, in their own half too. That makes it even more difficult.
Bartram has been successful with 2 from 3 thus far this afternoon. He's 29 metres out, 10 metres to the left of the uprights. Will give them a nice handy lead going to the break if he's successful. Ball in flight, looks beautiful. Wayne Bartram right between the posts. That's where he guides the ball. It's 18 points to 8 in favour of the St George Illawarra Dragons over South Sydney. Referee Brian Grant set to get proceedings underway. Bartram is preparing for kickoff. South Sydney certainly would have spent plenty of time talking about their defence.
Sean, having
Lacking a sense of urgency in that area.
Yeah, and just off the line they're a little bit slow, and around the marker play too. Plenty of yardage there for St George side.
Ball went down to Julian O'Neill. Immediately fires the pass to Big Mark Carroll. Tackle 31 metres out. Can South Sydney come back? They trail by 18 points to 8. Our sideline commentator is Mario Fennick.
Yeah, I've got Andrew Farrow, who's the assistant coach for the St George Illawarra side. Andrew, give us an idea of the thoughts of the St George dressing room at half-time.
Well, we talked the main priority in the half time was just on defence. You know, Souths have got some pretty tricky runners, you know, from the back of the field, and also can run the last. That's a big part of their play as well. So we really talked up big in defence.
First couple of rounds, you seem to sort of be struggling for cohesion. Although today you've seen a couple of good set plays, some tries, and you're starting to blend a bit better.
Yeah, that's true. It was always going to take a little while for players to get to know each other, the way each other play. So it's coming together. Although they're a very dangerous side, South Sydney, and so we've just got to be on our guard this half, and hopefully our defence will win it for us.
Well, mate, good luck this afternoon. Although I don't want to wish you too much good luck, if you know what I mean.
Thanks.
Thanks, Andrew.
What a run from Matt Parsons from Slosh across the field to James Smith. Trying to offload, he had Slosh working the run around in support. South Sydney looking good early in the second half. Trindle, long floating ball out wide to Jason Nicol. Wrapped up by McGregor and Brown. 25 out from the Dragons line. Carroll. His second touch of the football in the second half. That's tackle number 5 from Garlick. Back to Trindle. The kick over the top. There's a chance here. Hookie racing through. Well taken, though, by Rod Wishart on the western side of the field.
Oh, he'd be a winger now. That's just tremendous play there from Rod Wishart. A little bit underdone, too, in first grade football. He was in the... He's put a foot on the line there trying to run the football back in. But he did catch it in the in-goal area, so that's a 20-metre tap, and that's the right ruling.
Brian Grant.
Plenty of experience from this bloke. Good to see him back too. He got the winning try last week. Didn't whinge when he was dropped to first grade or first division. Now he's back in the top side. Good on him.
As we see St George restart proceedings from their own 20. Back down to Mario Fennick on the sideline.
Yeah, just a bit of a report on the South Sydney dressing room talk at half time. Surprisingly, Craig Coleman was pretty calm about it. It's obvious to everybody that South Sydney are dropping too much football. He told his side to value possession and control the football. It's a team that controls the football, as we see a nice offload there by Thompson, bit of play there. It's a team that controls the possession is going to win this game. He says we're still in this game, although we want to be the next side to score.
The George Illawarra just on their own side of halfway. Mundine turns them inside out to Wayne Bartram, who goes striding outfield back to Mundine. Was that Trindle coming from behind to get him? It was beautiful tackle that had to be made. They've got big numbers to the right, the St George Illawarra side. A floating ball on the outside to Lance Thompson. But the South Sydney scrambling defence there, was that held? Surely it was held.
Great
and Brian Grant thinks so too.
Come on, let's rave on how great the tackle was there from Tricky Trindle. He come from out of the ground. Great tackle on Mundine. He thought he was in.
And I'll tell you what, Block, I hope we see a replay. Here it is. Here, Bartram through. Mundine resents the tackle. It's a beauty. There's Trindle there, out of the clouds, and watch him back slam him. Ooh, that would have hurt.
With Lance Thompson standing up in the tackle. Referee had called held and he threw the ball away to Wayne Bartram. So the Rabbits in possession.
Interesting. They've had the better of the play so far, South Sydney. Just watch them taking the ball up there. There's Parsons. No support for Carroll or Parsons when they do the run the football for South Sydney. They need support. Bit of flop back play.
There's Schloss, nice offload. Carroll doing as Steve Roach suggested, support. A flat pass on the outside now to Lee Hookie. Well summed up by Rod Wishart. In defence, 29 metres out from Garlick, a long pass to Trindle. He cuts out Craig Wing to Julian O'Neill, who stepped off his left, stepped straight into the tackle of Trent Barrett. Now Wing off a quick play. The ball goes for a run out of dummy half, and he's tackled 19 metres out on tackle 5, right in the centre of the field. The Rabbits are coming back at them. A long pass from Trindle to Rodwell. Wishart raced it off his wing and crunched him.
Well, you've got to make the decision if you are going to make the tackle. Great play there. Showed experience, Wishart. He knew that he had to make that tackle straight on his old clubmate Rodwell.
Wasted no time. Wishart, beautiful play. Now here's Thompson. South Sydney creating some bright attacking opportunities early in this half. I remind you they trail 18 points to 8 on the scoreboard though. So George Illawarra 20 metres out from their own line. This is Patton who scored the first try of the match, back slam by Brett Rodwell from Mundine. Now Corey Pearson running hard and straight. Tackle 5, 20 metres on their own side of halfway. Barrett goes for the clearing kick. Wing, who made a nice darting set of 6. The Rabbitohs bench. Carroll, very fired up about the fact St George Illawarra were inside the 10. And Brian Grant heard him, Steve Roach.
He blows up. He's
you
very
can see
animated,
Spud blowing
isn't
right
he?
up.
Spud holding down, just laying on the tackle, just that little bit too long. Andrew Hart, it is the offender that time.
Hey, Block, it's a handy penalty for the Rabbits. They've got a pretty good breeze behind them in this second half. Here comes Ruben. They need to control the football now, South. Good set.
I'd love to see him wind up a little bit more, Mario. He's getting the ball pretty flat, but he's a hard man to handle.
Need to put a rocket up his block.
South Sydney through Chris Caruana making inroads. 12 metres out Where's Trindle? He's got the ball now towards the eastern side of the park. They keep it alive. Back across the field to Jeremy Schloss.
That's better. A little bit of second phase from the Rabbits now. Trindle with the football.
Indeed, from Garlick. Now to Trindle. There's a cutout pass to Craig Wing. It really floated across in front of him. And that was a nothing ball in the end, a nothing play.
What they've got to do now is not panic. O'Neill goes for the bomb. It's a good
kick.
one too.
It's a well-placed kick. There's Rabbitohs racing through. Well cleaned up at the back, though. Was it Blacklock on the far side of the field?
It certainly was, and it was Paul McGregor who ran the shadow for him. Look at McGregor obstructing there. Good play there from McGregor.
Yeah, no real pressure for Blacklock. A player of first-grade standard should have eked those up. Actually, quite a poor kick by O'Neill, but South Sydney, so far so good.
I think the kick was reasonably well weighted. It was just lack of chases.
Like a chase, yep. You probably put down the South Sydney's performance so far in the whole day as being a little bit lazy to what we've seen in the first few rounds.
That about sums it up. 18-8 in favour of the Dragons over the Rabbitohs. Still very warm. Beautiful clear blue skies here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Jamie Ainscough unable to handle that pass.
Their big men might be a little bit better suited to night football. It's when they beat the Raiders a couple of weeks ago.
Well, this is what was happening in the second half. We see another mistake there by St George. It was South Sydney, contrastingly enough, in the first half that were starting to fumble the ball.
It's a good call too, that knock on. Come forward out of the backhand.
Brad Mackay waiting patiently to be thrust back into the action. Trindle will feed this scrum. 9 metres on the Rabbitohs side of halfway. Now Jason Nichol, former Gold Coast Charger, big and strong. A damaging runner, but again taking the ball, standing flat-footed.
He should be doing the same thing as McGregor does, going from one side of the field to the other.
Inside pass for Caruana. Deceptive runner. Now big Ian Rubin must have heard what Steve Roach said. That time he took the ball and wound up the speed.
There's a stink on.
Just walk over.
McGregor involved.
Okay, get out of it.
And Caruana way over on the eastern side of the field, the opposite side of the SCG that we're broadcasting from.
Be interesting to see what the touch judge says.
What played, sir?
Yeah, South Sydney number 1 and also Barking.
Fine, be clear about South number 1, please, man.
Caruana.
Time out.
Okay, year number 1.
Get it
also
clear.
Number 30. Yeah.
You won? Number 1. Are you number 1? That's it.
13.
And 13.
Wayne Bartram being called over. I thought it was
Before
McGregor.
Mitchell starts.
That surprises me.
Take a couple of breaths. Get off.
Okay. After the play, the ball was finished. These two started getting involved in a bit of a verbal. Okay. Not much, and then he's run over. Okay, and he's whacked him first. First punch thrown by this guy. It's flared up. The two of them got into it. But he was definitely the aggressor. There was no need for it.
Now, was there anyone else? Was there anyone else?
Just the two of them, mate. Just the two of them. Okay, one on one.
I'll wear that. It's a hot day. It's fairly hot, but mate, you got to keep your head on because it's going to go against you. And Wayne, you've been around long enough not to get involved. Here we are.
Yeah.
Well, that's an absolute tragedy. South Sydney with the football 20 metres out from the St George line. Oh, that's just poor play. Caruana needs to keep his head.
You give nothing away when you got the ball.
We just saw a very quick shot of South Sydney coach Craig Coleman. The stress was starting to show on Tugger. Now the Dragons back on the attack, and they work the short side. Nice play. Bartram.
He's played well today, Bartram.
I was about to say, looked very good, hasn't he?
Looks
Now
like he's run himself into a little bit of fitness. Made a couple of good breaks up the middle of the ruck.
continue to work the short side through Brad Mackay. Tackled by Chris Caruana. And they're some 15 metres out. The St George Illawarra Dragons as Paul McGregor swivels in the tackle. Couldn't get the ball away though. Carroll and Caruana combined to bring him down. Mackay, Barrett to Mundine. Puts the kick through.
Too big.
Turns Craig Wing around. Just a little too hard, that kick.
Well, both sides having trouble with the in-goal area today. They look pretty big to me, but just must be out their direction. Quick tap taken by South Sydney now. And a good charge again from Parson. Geez, been impressive.
So no change to the half-time scoreline, despite there being 9.5 minutes of play in the second half.
Easy now,
It's on.
easy.
Timmins. Timmins and Slattery coming together.
No, it's too high. Mate, if you're going to go up high, make sure they don't go any higher than the shoulder. Get it clear with the penalty.
So South Sydney receiving a penalty they need.
This happened in front of me, boys, and I just thought it was a sort of ball and all tackle. Obviously, the referee's got a better position than me, but now South Sydney with another attacking opportunity. You'd have to say it's at 18 points to 8. South need to be the next side to score.
From Carroll away to Rodwell. 9 metres on St George Illawarra's side of halfway. Hope you're enjoying our live pitches. The Dragons and the Rabbitohs from the Sydney Cricket Ground as Parsons goes back on the attack.
And
what a game he's having, the big fellow.
And that's where they've got to put him, one off the ruck. Don't worry about running right next to the ruck like Carroll is now. He's a bit of a ball player, getting 2 or 3 off the ruck. Offload, run at the little blokes.
Big lanky stride, he can do some damage all right. Now across the field they come. There's a short ball to Slattery, makes a half break. Couple of Dragons defenders there clinging on gamely, one of which was Lakeville. Now the short side for Trindle. Pass to Rodwell, who stopped and went back inside. Tackled by Corey Pearson. Ball pops out the back. That'll be play on. Trindle not sure what to do with it. Basketball-like pass over the top to Jeremy Slosh, who's tackled by Andrew Hart.
This is where they panic a little bit. Last tackle now for the Rabbitohs.
7 out from Garlick to Trindle. Their major playmaker. Kick through for Nickel. This has got to be a South Sydney try. And debut. He's going to go to the video referee.
No, onside's fine. I want to make sure he's got the ball down okay.
Pressing of the ball, yeah.
Okay.
Gee, it looked a try.
Looked a bit dusty.
We'll have to wait as the video referee Graham West has a look at it. We'll show it to you several times, so you can be the judge watching.
Interesting to say that they're saying the put down was a bit dusty, so there might be a bit of speculation on the play of the ball.
He's definitely onside there. Wins the race. What a great bounce. Oh, jeez, it is dusty.
It is a little loose down there.
This will be the shot that'll show you. Beautiful. I can't believe the way the ball bounced up straight into Nickel's hands.
Be a tragedy if it's not a try. Nice play. Here's Nickel.
Oh, that's a try.
That's a try. Downward pressure.
Yeah, that'll do, mate.
South Sydney fans here at the SCG waiting, as you are, to see the video referee's decision. Surely it's got to be a try. Indeed it is. The home side hit back. Scoreline 18 points to 12 in favour of the Dragons, with a kick to come from about 20 metres out, and Trindle is the man charged with the responsibility of converting the try.
Well, how important is this one for South Sydney? They had to be the first try scorers in the second half. What about the bounce? Nickel, beautiful play there. This is the better shot now. You can't do anything about this.
Couldn't have been a better bounce, as you said, Steve. Just popped up in his arms.
Trindle taking the ball to the line. That was the secret there. Bring the defence on.
So South Sydney have proven 3 times today they've got the tricks to hit back when they do have some weight of possession on their side.
What about the game Trindle's having? He's been in everything. 2 tries, put that one on. Now he's having a shot at goal.
From 17 metres out and about 13 or 14 metres in from the eastern touchline. He strikes it. It's coming around. It hits the upright.
Tragedy.
How close can you get? No change to the scoreline here. The Dragons 18 leading South Sydney 12. I think we're in for a thrilling game of rugby league here.
Yeah, Trindle's scored 2 tries and been involved in this one. Deft kick it is. As Blocker said, sits right up, bang, Nickel over. South needed to be the next people to score a try, and they did. I think South Sydney's starting to well and truly get back into the game now. Here comes Parsons.
They've looked all right when they've had some possession, South Sydney. They've certainly eradicated the high error rate we saw from them in the first half. Now Carroll, tackled by Brad Mackay. Off to the left, they use the ball to the open side. And the crowd starting to lift, or trying to lift the home team, the red and greens. They're 10 metres on their own side of halfway. Back to Garlick. And now Trindle, the clearing kick. They'll need some good chases on the end of this. It's turned out to be a fairly deep kick that dribbles dead in goal.
It was a perfect example of how hard this ground is. The ball just hit and then rolled. 10 metres out from the line, the ball first landed and then just rolled on dead in goal.
Julian O'Neill has gone back to fullback for the South Sydney side. Now St George, 29 out from their own line.
Yeah, not a bad move there from Craig Coleman, knowing that O'Neill hasn't played that much football. Move Craig Wing back up in the attack at 5'8". Let him try and create something.
Now from McCarr, forward pass, I thought, from where we're sitting to Paul McGregor. Crowd agrees with me, Block. Gee, it looked half a metre forward at least. Now they work the short side again. Oh, the ball comes out, and I think it rolled forward too.
Well, that was the impossible offload. 2 players in the tackle. He just threw it just for the sake of throwing it. Got to be able to lock the football up, Mario. They're under some pressure now, St George Illawarra. There's the forward pass. That's deliberate. That's a penalty.
Yeah, it's all about pressure. There it is there. Tries to squeeze a miracle pass out. Now St George starting to feel the whip on their back. South in the first half absolutely put pressure on themselves. You can hear that South Sydney chant go up. They're starting to grow in confidence now, South Sydney. They need to be the next to score again.
Now here's Wing. Inside Baldwin and Reuben. Standing out in the centres. Tackle in the centre of the field. 5 on their own side of halfway, South Sydney. 18-12 the scoreline here. As big Paul McNicholas comes in for some treatment. Here's Garlick. Darting out of that in half.
Good play the ball there from McNicholas.
They're 35 out from Rodwell to Trindle. Now to Craig Wing. A pass that finds Julian O'Neill. Now James Smith standing very wide. They're 30 out. Ian Reuben. It's lacking creativity at the moment, South. On tackle number 5. To Wing. He sums it up, throws the dummy, puts his head down. Thought he could get through there. Andrew Hart made sure that was not the case.
Not a bad play there on the last tackle. Now he's penalised, he's throwing the football away. Craig Wing. That's poor play there from South. They had them hemmed. It's just a piggyback. Saints able to get out of trouble now through a kick from Mundine.
And you can see St George block breathe, a sigh of relief, as you said, a piggyback, some 20 and 30 metres now. St George trying to stabilise the ship now. Here comes the Leichvoll. They've dropped a bit of football, St George.
7 on their own side of halfway. Corey Pearson back to Mundine. Tackled by Reuben and Jeremy Schloss. Brown got the call from Barrett. That looked another forward pass to McGregor. 5 on the Rabbitohs side of halfway from Pearson to Lance Thompson. Standing in the centre of the ruck, tackled by Caruana and Sean Garlick, 2 of the smaller South Sydney players. Here's Barrett kicking over the top, turns Julian O'Neill around. Again, the kick a little deep. It'll come back to the South Sydney 20 for the restart.
Interesting, you can see Trent Barrett put his hands in the air in frustration. He wanted that ball to sit in the in-goal area.
It's the hardness of the ground, Mario. I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago. I'd just like to see Trent Barrett run with the football and put a couple of chips on for himself when he gets in the South Sydney's end. They don't mix their game up enough.
And Tony Iro to play it for South Sydney. Garlick to Parsons. Can he offload? He invariably does. He's not really looking this time. He had the time to offload there, but South Sydney fans not happy about something. Now McNicholas, he offloaded back to Sean Garlick. This is Schloss. He had support on his left, elected to go on his own after throwing the dummy. They've made it to be 7 metres on St George Illawarra's side of halfway. Kick over the top from Trindle. Patton has no problem. Here's Trindle. Can he make the tackle? Indeed he can, with some assistance from Rodwell. Great place by Daryl Trindle, who's had a fine game this afternoon. Here's Ainscoe. Ducking. Runs into Sean Garlick. 19 out from his own line. 18 points to 12 in favour of the Dragons. Colin Ward. Bartram pops the ball up to Mundine, anticipated beautifully by Mark Carroll. The clearing kick, which will fall just above Craig Wing.
Good positional player for such a young player, isn't he?
He's a good player, Craig Wing, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Does most things right at this stage of his career. Now Rodwell stepping. 5 metres on his own side of halfway. Some of the tackling statistics this afternoon we're going to show you shortly as Garlick gets hammered.
Yeah, almost level, isn't it? Poor possession, both sides turning over the football far too much. Here's the man that I want to see get involved in the game for South, Tony Iro. He can turn it around for them.
O'Neill to Nicol, big and strong. They had some numbers out there, the Rabbitohs, some crisp passing. Back to Trindle it comes, shaped to kick, decided not to. Here's Wing and a chance for South Sydney. Oh, beautiful pass. It comes back to the South Sydney number 6. Magnificent rugby league try. South Sydney turning it on here at the Sydney Cricket Ground.
And that's Hookie. That's a try of the year so far. That's unbelievable.
Beautiful
the pass of
communication.
the year. That's a great pass there from Hookie. They just doubled around. I was just wondering whether when they were going to do something a little bit different. The South Sydney side run the ball on the last tackle.
Great play, South Sydney.
Just watch the pass here. It's not this one, it's the next one from Hookie. He receives the football there. The little run around, that is just absolute brilliance. And hasn't he got some toe? Mundine could have made the tackle, decided to try and push him in the touch. Bad play there from Mundine. He should have tackled him in the touch. And there's the Rabbits.
South Sydney clawing their way back. 18 points to 16. They still trail, but the kick to come.
What a pass.
Isn't that just magnificent?
Brilliant.
Great communication. Well done to both players.
I don't understand why Mundine didn't try and make the tackle. Try and put him out in the touching goal or in the touch before the try line.
I'm not sure Mundine thought he was actually close enough. It was outstretched arms and fingertips trying to put him into touch.
He got a
He
couple of
didn't launch
hands on
himself
him.
at him, did he?
He got a couple of hands on him.
Now Julian O'Neill
What about that pass? That's just sensational stuff.
We've seen a couple of beautiful tries today. That was one. The other one being scored by Blacklock for St George in the second half. Now O'Neill from the western touchline, or a metre in and 22 metres out, to level the ball game. He's actually stubbed it. Can he get it? Oh, it's fallen over the black dot.
Whoa!
A miracle kick by O'Neill because he kicked the ground. When he kicked the football, you can see it clearly. We've got a ball game here. All tied up at 18 points
just kicked the
all.
winner. Look at it. Smile.
And Mario Phoenix dancing on the sideline.
Yeah, we've got about 18 minutes to go now. He tries to run the ball, Trindle. Watch the presence of mind. A la Rugby Union, bang the flick pass. What about this bloke? Craig Wing, strong, quick, and a good sword as well. 18 points all.
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean?
Well,
You
it's
like
a great
him, do you?
sword.
Hey, Muzz, what did you think of the cover defence there from Mundine?
Well, a lot to be desired, but now it's going to be a dogfight. We've got 18 minutes blocked, and these are the championship minutes. It's one of these players need to stand up, whether it be St George or South. Someone needs to stamp their authority. This game's in the balance now.
It'll come down to who wants it most, as we always say in sport. When the going gets tough, great comeback from the Rabbitohs. Here's another chance for them. Swinging the ball. Gee, they've grown in confidence, haven't they? They've nullified a lot of their errors. It's a very different football side in the second half, Blocker.
There's a little bit of spring in their step too. Everyone determined to run the football now. It's changed a couple of things. I think there's some brilliant moves there by Coleman to move young Wing up from full-back and then put him back, move him back up in attack.
Here's Patton. A pretty ordinary kick by Trindle. Kick straight to the St George Illawarra fullback. Now Rod Wishart will be tackled on his own 40. Parsons on the sideline. He's had an excellent game today.
Well, I'd give him 1 minute break and get him back out there. He's been dangerous for the Rabbits. He's been their best forward.
Now Colin Ward on the short side. Tackled by Trindle. And Rodwell. Thompson.
I just get the feeling South Sydney's pack's probably twice the size of St George. I think St George is starting to be worn down by that big South Sydney pack.
Craig Wing back at fullback. Tackled by Jamie Ainscoe. So the Rabbits now need to build a good set of 6. About 25 out from their own line.
He's class, isn't he, Wing?
18 all.
Whoop.
The Dragons and the Rabbitohs. Interesting game from Garlick as you look at the hit-ups. South Sydney 124, St George Illawarra 114. South Sydney keep the ball alive through Ian Reuben now after accepting the pass from Sean Garlick. Great run by Big Reuben. He's still going upfield. Now some nice fast play the balls. South Sydney getting some momentum, no doubt about it. It comes back to James Smith. Troy Slattery in possession, throws the ball nowhere. And Patton comes up with it for the Dragons. Oh, just when they were looking so good.
Well, the most important part now is to see how they regroup after they made that big break. They've got to regroup now and make this next set of six their best defensive.
That pass deliberately forward, don't you?
Yeah, referee right on the spot. We bag him, but I tell you, we've got to give him a rap there, Brian Garrett, right on the spot. I'll tell you what, Slattery had a brain explosion. There's Craig Coleman. He's aged about 100 years in the last 10 minutes.
It's been ruled accidentally forward. A scrum's going to pack.
I mean, it's deliberate.
I mean, it's a penalty.
Anyway, they get the football 40 out the South Sydney side. They've had the better play the last 10 minutes. They're coming home strong.
Will they work it towards the sticks blocker and go for field goal? Good chance, Trendall.
Bit early.
He's running riot this afternoon.
Bit early yet, Dave. 15 to go.
Is it ever too early in a game like this? We're looking towards a real arm wrestle to fight it out.
There's a penalty to South. Over vigorous in the tackle. But Mackay is being penalised. What do you do here, Muzza? Have a shot, I would.
Yeah, well, if I was captain, I'd be looking to have a shot. It's very hot. I think South's got the ascendancy now. There's the replay of the tackle there. I think the referee was correct there as well. South Sydney growing in confidence. I'm just looking at keeping an eye on Darryl Trindle, who's just been getting a bit of attention, but he's tough as teak, Trindle. They are going to elect to shoot for goal. And I'll tell you what, if they can put this over, that's further pressure for St George.
And Steve Roach, after they won the scrum, St George Illawarra let Trindle run about 60 metres across the field.
Yeah, they were a bit wide in defence there. The first man standing off the scrum. Yeah, he'll eat it if you're going to give it to him.
Now O'Neill, 25 out, 10 metres to the right of the post. Look at Craig Coleman. He senses his team can get home here.
He's hard to be racing.
Well, I've spoken to Tugger I've spoken to Craig Coleman throughout the week, and he feels it's that critical for South to win this week. They were beaten last week. They need to win today to regather that confidence to go on. Let's not forget South Sydney are playing for survival, if you know what I mean. They need to be here and they need to be winning.
Waiting now for O'Neill. Can he get the Rabbitohs in front on the scoreboard? Moves in. Looks okay off the boot. No, it's been waved away, but he kicked it dead.
No, it doesn't matter. They get the ball back for another 6 tackles. That was the main thing after the kick misses. To make sure you kick it dead in goal so you get the football back. 20-metre drop kick.
Next weekend, South Sydney play Manly. Well, St George Illawarra. Here they tackle North Sydney. St George Illawarra. The Souths with the football back in their hands now. 18 points all. Who will be the first to break the deadlock? 10 on their own side of halfway, the Rabbitohs. James Smith. They're playing the game 7 in from the western touchline. Now Ian Reuben, met by Brad Mackay and Corey Pearson. Garlick elects to go with Iro down the short side. The big fella can do some damage. Mundine swooping on him in defence. Now Chris Caruana. South have a deep back line set. Caruana! He carves them up! He gets through! Chris Caruana scores a magnificent individual try. St George did not want to know about the tackle.
Well, I was thinking, what's he doing? He's made no yardage. He's running across field 20 metres, and there was no support for him on the outside. They were waiting for the next play, the South Sydney Rabbits. He come off his left foot. Beautiful step there from Caruana. Stepped the fullback Patton and scores right under the post.
What a remarkable try.
There's the short side run again there from Iro. Just watch this run and have a look at the support out wide from South Sydney. There's no one on camera. Look, there's no one even supporting the ball.
Well, I said in the call, they had a deep backline set and no one wanted to tackle the man.
Somebody stop him.
He's gone all the way. Another look at it. Souths were set nice and deep for an attacking raid, probably on the next play.
I don't think he can believe it.
And he has just strolled through them. Wayne Bartram, Brown, a number of players there. Didn't want to know about it. And now Julian O'Neill will attempt this conversion from right in front, 11 metres out.
That'll be hard to pull back from here, South. They've got plenty of spirit, Muzz.
Well, they have, as we see O'Neill convert. One thing about Chris Caruana as we watch for the replay, he's a very good individual runner. He looked like he was heading across field as we see the replay.
He looked like it.
Well, he was heading across field, but what helped him was the fact that St George's defence didn't move up in the line. Here it is here. Caruana, there's an offload there from Iro down the blind side. Caruana looks like he's going nowhere, straight across field, but that's where the danger lies. They don't move up in a line, bang, and that's the hole. Straight through. Now the step's always on, very powerful runner, and I tell you what, the cat's amongst the pigeons now. South Sydney going to be hard to beat from here.
24 points to 18. There's a little over 10 minutes remaining in this match, and the last 15 minutes it's all been South Sydney. Here's Mark Carroll. They have grown in confidence. St George really struggling at the moment on the back foot, Steve Roach.
It'll be hard to deny him now. Look at that run from Carroll, inspirational. There's Jeremy Schloss now taking the football forward, but Mario hit it on the head about 15 minutes ago. They've worn this St George pack down when they've controlled the football.
Now James Smith, one of the most improved players in the game for mine.
Yeah, good player.
10 metres on his own side of halfway to Trindle. They'll be looking to consolidate now, South Sydney. Nothing silly. Patton across the field, got away from Iro. Metzlosh got through that tackle, but Garlick came from behind to grass him. And look how long the St George forwards are taking back to get onside.
Yeah,
they are tired.
They are very tired. Wishart running in there trying to get a run up.
Chris Lakefolno now for the Dragons. Just on their own side of halfway as Rod Wishart has a run, and a good one too of some 10 metres. Brown, gee, the South Sydney market defence lazy at the moment. St George, Illawarra, here they come through Sean Timmins. There's a nice tackle by Trindle.
Carroll down on the back play. He's got to get to his feet. They haven't got the football yet.
Mundine, the high kick.
That's a nothing
South
kick.
Sydney perfectly
No
positioned.
pressure.
Well, there was really only Lance Thompson out there chasing. He's obviously not the fastest player on the St George Illawarra club. Lack of communication there by the Dragons. Obviously no one knew what was going on with that ploy.
South Sydney's confidence starting to grow now, but they really need to make sure they control this football. St George have got quality players. Barrett, Mundine, as we see Carroll limp off, but look, this game, we've got 8 minutes to go. Plenty of time for St George yet.
Carroll got a little shaken up as a result of that long searching run he made just a few moments ago. Look at this for a long searching run. It's Paul McNicholas for the Rabbitohs. They're coming home all over the top of St George Illawarra, the South Sydney side. Julian O'Neill to Rodwell. Inside pass now for Lee Hookey. Out to O'Neill. Oh, to wing in support on the inside. South Sydney looking quite magnificent with the football in their hand.
I don't know what Craig Coleman said to them at half time, but they've come out on fire in the second half. They've been dominant the whole half. They deserve to win this game, South.
This will bring the Clouds back, Bucker. Nice pass on the outside. They're trying their luck, South. They're moving it back on the inside to Hookey. He's done a few good things.
Yeah, they're not finished with scoring. That points at the moment. They want more on the scoreboard.
They played today like real entertainers. In the second half anyway. Here's Thompson bumping away from tackles. The South Sydney defence magnificent at the moment. They are enjoying this.
Tabby, the unsung heroes for South are their forwards. I'm telling you, they're wearing this St George side down. They're struggling, St George, in the forwards. Big gangly players like Parsons and McNicholas are struggling.
We know who you mean. And there's some very sloppy play by the Dragons.
Yeah, I don't know about chipping in your own half, coming out of your own end. Just turns the football straight over to South Sydney, and they're straight back on the attack now.
Another look at it. Well, it wasn't Timmins' fault, that's for sure. So the Rabbitohs on the turnover come up with it from Garlick. Now 38 metres out. McNicholas. Good strong run, tackled by Brown. There is Mark Carroll getting some tape on a leg.
Yeah, Warhorse. He'll want to come out and finish this game.
Iro. Now big Ian Rubin.
Oh, good run.
Like a runaway rhino. He's still going, the big fellow.
Now the field goal.
Got the legs pumping. They're 7 metres out. Trindle changes it. Yep, here it goes. Straight between the posts. Beautifully done. Anticipated by Steve Roach and Darryl Trindle. And look at Tricky.
Isn't it great to see players enjoying the game? He loves it. What a game he's had today.
Well, you'd have to say, boys, that'd be game, set, match, although we've got 6 minutes to go, but very smart play by Trindle. He's been involved in everything.
So South Sydney have mounted a great comeback, remembering they trailed by 18 points to 8 when they came back for the second half. St George Illawarra looking for possession. They might come up with a 2 from the short kick-off. They go on the attack now. South Sydney 25, leading the Dragons 18.
And it'd be in South's mind too that this St George Dragons never say die. They might come back here. They did it against Canberra last week on their home ground.
I've got no doubt they'll battle all the way. Sean Garlick will be reminding his troops of that. They go on the attack. St George Illawarra. Bartram standing in the tackle. Brown. Open side they come with Sean Timmins.
Great tackle, Trindle.
Met by Rodwell and Trindle. Trindle's made a few try savers today, and good to see he's tackling low. He has had problems in the past getting up too high on the body. St George Illawarra. 5 metres out from the South Sydney try line. Trying to get across the line. It's come out South Sydney's way. The Rabbitohs have possession.
Well, poor option by Trent Barrett, I thought there. Last tackle, a nothing run from dummy half. Gives South Sydney the football.
He's frustrated, Trent Barrett Mario. He's trying too hard. Tried to push the pass on the short side then.
Inside the last 5 minutes now.
There's a turnover in the play of the ball.
Yeah, you'll find it was just a drop ball in the play of the ball. Unforgivable really for any player playing in first grade. Referee had no choice. There's the replay there. What's his play of the ball?
Let's have a listen. As the referee walks over, as you take another look at that replay.
Just under 5 to go, mate. Keep working hard.
And Sean Garlick it is, suffering from cramps, I think, isn't it? Is it Sean? It is.
Bit of gamesmanship, slow it down.
Well,
get his big forwards a bit of a rest.
It's ideal, Block, isn't it? These South Sydney forwards have done the job today.
There's the hit-ups. 147 plays 130 in that department. St George Illawarra scrum feed at 10 metres out. Great tackle again by Trindle. If he hasn't been the man of the match, I'd like to see a better player. Now Barrett. About 15 out. Heard the call from Blacklock, who passed it back to James Smith for South Sydney. That's the ball game, all right, surely.
Geez, they've panicked St George, haven't they? Just trying to push the pass. Just no go there. First off on the blind side, and then just a silly one there from Blacklock.
Who is your man of the match, Steve?
Oh, without a doubt, Tricky Trindle in a canter.
Followed by Parsons.
Parsons has played well, yeah. Rubens played well. Spud Carroll's done his job. They've all done it. They've done a great second half, South Sydney. Control the football, see. Here's
Smith, wrapped up by Corey Pearson. If you may have just joined our telecast, live pitches at the Sydney Cricket Ground. The Rabbitohs trailed 18-8 at half-time. They find themselves leading 25-18 with 3.5 remaining. It's been some comeback, and they've done it with so much class and composure. Here's a kick that's going to find touch. Was that a 40-20 kick? That didn't find touch anyway. Rolled back into the field of play. Patton trying to create some havoc.
This will be interesting.
He finds Blacklock, who's tackled by Julian O'Neill. O'Neill's been solid in defence today. Brown, 38 metres out from their own line. Ainscoe has not done a lot wrong today. Had Rodwell clinging to him.
He hasn't had enough touches. We know what an exciting player he is.
Timmins to Mackay on the short side. St George haven't given up. There's no doubt about that. It comes out to Wayne Bartram, who's had a fine game.
Well read there. Well read there from Nickel. He read the play there. Great tackle on Barrett.
Now, Corey Pearson. About 32 metres out from South Sydney's line. Brown runs 7 metres, then kicks through. Oh, a bit of confusion there. Oh, that's got to be
6 again. Oh, no, they've not gone again.
I thought Brown raked the ball forward to a teammate there. Comes up with Parsons. Referee Brian Grant says play on.
Well, I thought South Sydney knocked the football on there first, and then St George knocked the football on, and then the referee says play on. We're playing in England.
77 and 3/4 minutes gone in this game. Just a couple of moments, or a couple of minutes left. And this rates as a very fine victory by South Sydney. There's no doubt about the way they've done it.
Gutsy.
Absolutely. Smith playing in jumper 12, one of the unsung heroes of South Sydney's victory. He's a workhorse. Back to Daryl Trindle. Will he find touch? The ball spins infield to Luke Patton. Iro's there. I don't think he'll be able to foot it with Patton. He gets him, does he? Oh, yes, he does. Now Iro very smartly out of acting half. Back to Bartram. Look at Iro. He's tackling everything but the goalposts. Caruana now swoops on it and makes the tackle. 1.5 minutes remaining. McGregor been decidedly quieter in the second half, but they haven't had anywhere near the amount of possession as they did in the first. Mundine, long pass to Ainscough. Can he get away from the tackle? Clinging onto him. Back to Brad Mackay, stepping, weaving. Found Anthony Mundine. Mundine's away. He's got support too. Will he need it? Yes, he does. He gets the pass away to Blacklock. Now back to Brad Mackay. The South Sydney scrambling defence is coming, but Brad Mackay gets there. Great St George Illawarra try. To their credit, they haven't given up the fight. How important the field goal now?
Yeah, what a great run there from Barrett in the middle of the ruck. Mundine it was, I'm sorry, who sprinted away for 30 metres. Good support there from St George too. That shows that they're pretty fit, especially at the back end of this game. They've waited till the death again. It's a good strong run here from Ainscough. Then they spread the football now. Mundine with plenty of space. Mackay stays on his feet, that's the main one. Watch Mackay stay here after the pass to Mundine. Mundine turns a couple on the inside out. They link up there. There's Mackay, a little left foot step, scores right under the post. 25-24.
Magnificent game of rugby league at a truly magnificent rugby league arena, the Sydney Cricket Ground. There's been many great battles between these two sides on the hallowed turf here at the former Rugby League headquarters. This match today has got to rank as one of the best of all time. Look at that scoreline. The Rabbitohs by a point. Daryl Trindle's field goal proving the difference in the end.